Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. I'm here for my weekly cross-stitching update a couple days late. Monday, my husband took the day off and we went shopping at the outlets and went out to lunch. Just had kind of a nice family day. It's the last day before my oldest son started high school. Don't know how that happened so quickly, but he's doing really well. And then yesterday we had some workmen in the house got a new front door, and this bedroom window right here were installed yesterday. Got new ones. So couldn't film yesterday either. So here I am today, but it worked out really well because the rotation that I was supposed to be doing was Monday and Tuesday. I think I might actually do more on that project today just to get to a better stopping point and to get enough stitches for a prompt. And just because it's our anniversary piece and I didn't actually work on it at all on Monday, so I only got one day, I'd like to give it a little bit more time. Yesterday was our anniversary, so we've been married 19 years. So now I have one more year to finish up our anniversary piece. So I really want to get a little bit more done on it. So I'll share all of that in just a second. First off, I have a tiny bit of haul. Right after I filmed last time, I got a surprise parcel from the Fat Quarter Shop. So there's this really big quilt book, which is fun. It's called A Scrapbook of Quilts, which is with 30 quilt projects starting from scraps, which is really cool because I have a lot of scraps in my closet from quilts that I've made in high school or college. I haven't quilted since then, but this is something that's really fun to be able to maybe find some things to do with them. Then there were a couple patterns. This one is Snowballs for Sale, and it's by Lori Holt. Pretty big one. And then this is also, it's So Emma Granita, and this one looks a lot like a quilt. And they have a couple different colorways suggested as well. So that's pretty. This one is really tempting because you could use whatever colors you have, and I think they might be starting a sale. I'm kind of so far behind on Flosstube and off the radar social media wise because I've just been too busy this last month, but this one is tempting to kind of do sooner than later, but I don't really have time. So many things, so little time. I might save that Snowballs one for a future giveaway, so be on the lookout for that. Let's see. I guess we can jump right into what I've been working on, starting with travel stitching. So we had, I'll show my project first as I do. This is the temperature typography for, this is the one I'm doing in 2021, the most recent one. I have another one I'd like to get up so soon, but this last month has been just chaos, and this week is no exception. It's going to continue to be really busy till the weekend, and I think I can start to breathe, and the kids will be back in school full-time next week, and I'm hoping I can get back to some of my Etsy designing and things like that. So I'm hoping that the next temperature piece will be out soon. Still have some kinks to work out of getting it to upload properly to Pattern Keeper. I would really like to get that sorted out before I release it, so be patient with me. But I started August this week on this one, and here is that one. So this is on 28 count, 1/1, full crosses, on a pale blue mystery even weave. Got a little toasty. Not quite, this is the hottest color right here at 106 so far. Not the hottest color I can get to, but the hottest one we've had so far. And yeah, but this was, I think the hottest over here was 103, which is still hot, but not as high of the colors as I can get. So we'll have to wait and see. It actually had a few sprinkles on the way to school this morning, so I don't know what today's gonna be like. So we'll have to wait and see. I also have in here my Cozy Cafe Club. from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This is their 2021 Mystery Stitch Along. And you can still jump in on this. There's still 5 parts left to go. It's a 10-part series. This is the 5th part they've released. I just started working on it, but I managed to get all of this border stuff completely finished, and then just started up here and got the words done as well. That was what I needed to finish one prompt in a Facebook group, and then I went ahead and put this in for another prompt because I will hopefully continue to have time as travel stitching now that school is coming back in session. Starting tomorrow when my younger kids start going back, I should be able to have a few minutes, like 15-20 minutes every day in the car to stitch on this. So that'll be really nice to try to get this done and then go back to some of my other travel pieces when each part gets finished. So yay, that'll be exciting. So I did get a little bit done on this, and I'll show you that. I did most of this in the car on the way to the outlet mall, which was about an hour away. So I stitched there and back, and I think I might have done a tiny bit. I think I did like 5 stitches once I got home because I was really close to being able to finish a challenge prompt. And so I just finished the last couple stitches of this word and then was able to fulfill the prompt and take a picture. So this is where I'm at now. This is on 25 count prim vintage cloth, 1/1 full crosses. And I'm doing all the called for colors except for the borders, and then I subbed out some fancy flosses I had in my stash that looked close to what was called for, just to give it a little bit of texture and movement in the border. So I got all of these little lacy bits that they have released so far. I got those all finished. The rest of this shelf that's underneath this one, I finished these border lines and the established 2021, and then went ahead and did sparkling water. So there's the can and like the little bits that are around the title still need to be done, but hopefully I will be able to make some headway now that I'll have regular travel stitching time with the school pickup waiting that I'd have to do, that I get to do. It's kind of fun actually to have that time set aside that I can just be alone and quiet and get 15 minutes of stitching. Like, can't complain with that. All right. And then I also got 2 days of Mill Hill Monday done since I've seen you last, because I'm late filming this week. So this is my buttons and beads kit that I'll pull out every Monday for 3 or 4 links of thread. This is Hummingbird. I used to like to get 2 or 3, but when I chose this for a challenge prompt and I needed to get at least 300 stitches. So I decided, well, I'll stitch, and I had 2 weeks to do it. So I figured, well, I'll stitch 150 stitches this week and 150 stitches, or that was last week, and then this week, and then I'll make 300. So I managed to do that, which is nice. I think the stitch goals for the group they vary. So sometimes if I have a 200 stitch goal, I could just stop at 100 each time, which will be nice as well. Because 150 on this piece is a little bit more than I'd like to spend, because then I run out of time on whatever main focus piece I chose for that day. But it's still nice, and I'm happy with where I got. So this is before. I'm using called for everything that came in the kit. Perforated paper, 14 count, all the DMC. So far I haven't done any beads, but I think should be doing some beads coming up here soon. I believe I did the brown bits, and I color completed that last week, and then this week I did some of the light blue. And I think I'll do a little bit more light blue over here, and then the next symbol might be beads. So I'll do at least one more length of light blue, I think, before I'll go on to something else, which will be fun to get a few beads in here. So you can kind of see the hummingbird starting. This is the hummingbird's head and body, and then the wings are out here, I believe. And there's some flowers over here and leaves, various leaves. So yay. That's been fun. Pulling that out every week. I did a little bit of that in the card too, but the pattern was a little bit tricky to read sometimes, so I didn't do as much in the card as I kind of thought I might, but that's okay. Oh yeah, I also did a little bit on my main, like, daily piece, Waterfall in Yosemite. This week, not so much. I chose not to work on it yesterday because I didn't have a lot of time and I really wanted to get to my anniversary piece, so I just decided, you know what, it's not a big deal. I'll get to it eventually. So the daily 30 prompt in that challenge group is not going to work this week, but that's okay because life happens and life is more important. So, but I did get it last week, so I think you will have a decent amount of progress just to see from last week. So I'll be a little farther back so you can see a nice side by side. As you can see, some of the bits and bobs of the rocks and waterfall are actually starting to show up now, which is really cool. It's a little hard to tell what's what, but this is actually the edge of a rock area, and it kind of dips down and the waterfall starts here and it kind of comes back up a little bit here. And then there's a patch of sky right here, and this is like a recessed mountain back in the distance. This is obviously foreground. So pretty cool. I'm really happy with how this is coming along, and that I can start to see where the edge of the sky is going to be, because that's kind of my goal by the end of the year, is to have all the sky stitches finished. But I keep, on the edges especially, I keep hitting these other colors that are in the rocks. So then I end up kind of following the rock line as well, and then I can get more of a visual outline of what I have left to accomplish in the sky, which is kind of fun. So I should get back to that to do more daily stitching on that maybe tomorrow. Today I might work on my anniversary piece from yesterday. That was my focus piece yesterday, and try to finish that goal before I move on to today's piece. So I don't think I'll do waterfall again today. I'll just wait and hopefully start that up again tomorrow with at least 65 stitches a day. I'll need to double check my calculations too, make sure I'm on track for the 21,000 stitches in 2021 goal, that I don't need to up that from 65 to something else, some other average, because I have missed a few days lately, so we'll have to wait and see. And I guess I can go into my main, what I worked on this week. I have one more that was not a main piece, but I'll show it in order of when I worked on it. So the first Arbitrary August piece I worked on this past week was Winter Rose by Lavender and Lace. And Arbitrary August is something I made up about 4 years ago just to work on a random project every day or every week or every couple days. And I am doing it again this year. This is the 4th year. This year I'm choosing from projects that I have not yet worked on in this calendar year. So it's fun to pull out projects that, for whatever reason, just haven't made it out yet. I have a lot of projects. I think I have like 85 now, maybe. It's too many, I know. But there's a lot to choose from. So there's a lot of things that I like that I don't necessarily get to, and some things that I like less that I definitely have a harder time getting to, unless it's being part of this challenge group going forward. I think will be helpful, because then maybe you'll pull out some of those that I'm less inclined to pull out, because some of the older ones have items in them that if a challenge prompt calls for a specific item, maybe it would be in that one and I could just have an excuse to pull it out. So let's see. Where is this one? This one was fun. I worked on just the dark blue in these decorative bits up top and got a decent amount finished. And this is on 46 count vintage Misty Rain. I looked it up last time. 1/2 full crosses. So the actual piece, this is shrunk slightly because it's been hand dyed, so the actual stitches are close to 25 count, 24, 25. So they're really tiny. Pretty cute. So this corner of the border, all of the navy is finished. This corner is not quite finished, but then there's another like light blue in there that will need to get added as well. I believe this color has some doodads in here, plus some red ribbons, I think. So those corner bits are not quite done, but I am happy with how far I got. And once I have this one done, I can also count over to her as well, or I could do some of the bush and then count over to her just to make sure it's in the right spot. But I think it should be pretty easy to count down from these ribbons and over from these, you know, to make sure she's in the right spot. Although since it's such a fine fabric count, it is a little bit harder to make sure your counting is accurate because it's so tiny. I would need to definitely turn off all the distractions, pay attention, and triple check before going over to her head. So I have a little bit more to do before I get to that point, but it's been fun. The next one that I pulled was a medium project that I worked on for 2 days. The English Garden Sampler by Teresa Wentzler. And I will be taking this scene out, but so far I'm just on the border. I haven't done the math to kind of shrink it up and pull. I love all this stuff, so I'm just gonna pull this up and kind of make sure if there's any extra gaps, I'll just add in some doodads to make it fit nicely so that the pattern on the border matches up properly. So I'll do my math later. Right now I'm just working on the border, and I know it's the same width on the border, so I don't have to worry about changing that. This I believe is 28 count Ivory Joblen, and I'm all the way across now, pretty much. So the before and after will have to be up and down for now, I think. But I did get all of 2 shades of green across the top edge of this border, and then 1 shade coming back around the bottom to finish out the string, and one of the colors came around here until I finished the string. Those 2 colors look identical, so if you can't tell the difference, neither can I. It's like 33, 46, and 520 or something along those lines, and they look exactly the same to me. But then I did this, I wanted to make sure this was counted accurately without actually having to count across. So I did all the motifs and just counted these big ones, and there was like 11 across. So then I would know that the upper stitches, I did this band as well all the way to the other side. I wouldn't have to necessarily count that all the way across. But I think I might have done some counting on the top anyways, but I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure that's accurate. So yeah, that's nice to see. And the top band of tan was a blended thread, but the 2 greens were solid, so I didn't have to worry about blends really. On Friday, I talked with Desiree and worked on His Name is Jesus for a little bit. This is by Joyful Expressions. And I'm doing mine in, they have it charted for 3 different shades of color. And I think they might suggest some colors, but I chose 3 Victorian Motto from my stash just for fun. And here is where I got to compared to last time. I made my way across the top already, and last time I think I worked on Light of the World. Oh yeah, this is 1/1 full crosses on Ivory Joblen, 28 count Ivory Joblen. So now I came across and did the word Messiah completely and got the next, I think, Omega, I think is the one right here that I got a tiny little start on, and the thread's still on my needle. But I have a few more little bits in this area, and then I can start working on the big one, His Name is Jesus, in the middle. And Desiree is working on The Addicted Stitcher here on Flosstube. She started in the middle, so she's working on the big His Name is Jesus motif first, as making pretty good progress. And it's really fun to see the difference of the same amount of stitches in large letters versus small letters, what it looks like. So, because we are keeping track, we're keeping on the same amount of stitches as we work on it. But since we're working in different places, it visually looks different because there's a lot more stitches in the large motif that she's working on right now. Then I worked on my winter floral cross for 3 days, but I think I managed only 2 days on this, as actually just like, yeah, I got like 10 stitches on the 3rd day because I didn't have any stitching time. Again, my parents visited and we played games. No stitching happens when they're here. Sometimes it does, but the last couple times it hasn't. So this is a Janlin kit, and I am using all the kit items with it. I love these colors, so pretty. The threads don't necessarily scream Christmas to me. They are more my colors, which are more not Christmassy. But this looks Christmassy, so I'm sure it'll work out. It's on 14 count light green Aida, 2/1, except the back stitching is 1/1, or 1, yeah. So here is where I got to. I managed to get quite a bit done. I was surprised. I was counting stitches for a prompt, and all the back stitching counted as half a stitch. But even with that, it went really fast. All that back stitching letters that I did, I must just be a fast letter backstitcher because it went really fast. And then I worked a good amount here in the top of the holly of the cross, which is really fun. And I was hoping to maybe get to these berries. There's a couple berries that are showing up near here as well, and I didn't quite get that much time. But maybe next time I should be able to get to the berries. So that's fun. I actually used this for 2 different prompts because in the Facebook group, because I finished the first one a lot quicker than I expected and had extra time. So, woohoo! I think I can get another one. So then yesterday and Monday, I worked on By the Window in the Morning by Soda Stitch. This will be my anniversary piece for 20 years, which is next year. So I have 1 more year to get this done. There's a lot left. But I will probably maybe focus on this a little bit more as it comes closer. So I will have a quote up at the top and our probably wedding date or whatever on the bottom. So haven't done that yet, but I was thinking as I was stitching yesterday that I might work out the quote and write that in now while I'm working in the top, so I don't have to go back and stitch it once everything else is stitched, because then I'll have to handle the stitching. Since I stitch in hand and hold it from the bottom, if I do the quote now, I'll just have it done at the top and can move on to the rest of the project. So I may work on that before I come back on to this next time, which hopefully will be a little bit next month. So here is where I'm at now. This is 18 count Devosa even weave in beige. And as you can see, I did some sky. I did the sky in a half stitch, so it went faster and it is a little bit lighter coverage so that the stars and the window pane separators kind of pop off a little bit more, because this is lighter coverage, so it's not as thick either. So it kind of gives it a recessed look as well, which I really like. Wasn't necessarily in the plan at first, but as I was stitching it, I'm like, oh yeah, that looks really good. I also finished some of this green. This is the green in her shorts that was still on my needle from last time. So I went ahead and finished that and then started working on the blue. So today I would like to finish this blue as well. I don't know if I can swing that, but I would love to finish this blue and maybe even backstitch the curtains before I move on. So we'll see. We'll see. If that's why I don't want to worry about the daily stitches on the Waterfall and Yosemite piece, because that's kind of a lot to ask. As well as hopefully getting to whatever my next project will be today. So we'll have to wait and see. But I would love to get more on this, especially since I'm kind of feeling the crunch time because this has been a lot slower start on this piece than I expected. All right, so now for the Arbitrary August picks for this week. I will only be picking 2 this week because Lord willing, I should be back next Monday and can spin again for you for all 3 for next week. So I'm using Tiny Decisions. Here, I'll go back. Yeah. The app is called Tiny Decisions and it's free. So you just go in and you can make however many lists you want, title the list and add a bunch of items, and then it makes a wheel for you that you can spin. So I won't have a small project this week because my small piece this week was my anniversary piece. So this week I'll only be spinning 2 pieces for the medium and large category from my medium wheel, if that makes any sense. You can go back, I explained it more last week. So here's my medium wheel. I have blacked out the 2 I did last week because I would like to do different ones every time. So let's see what we're gonna do. Fantasy Triptych. This is one that is a Teresa Winsler. I inherited from my sister-in-law. It is a little bit more challenging to stitch, so it's kind of why it doesn't come out very often. But it's good that it comes out during Arbitrary August because then I'm forced to work on it. So I'll spin again and then I'll go get this one and then whatever else spins and come back and show you. So that's the first one that I'll start today if I can get to it, and at least do some tomorrow. If for some reason by the window in the morning takes me all of my stitchy time today to get that window done, I'll work on Fantasy Triptych apparently on Thursday and Friday, and then do the last one on Saturday and Sunday. So I think that'll work fine. So let's see, let's do the next one. Nantucket Rose, that's the one that almost got picked last time. So that's a fun one. That's a lavender and lace. So that'll be fun. I'll go get those 2 and bring them back to share with you. All right, so here is Fantasy Triptych by Teresa Winsler. And it's a very old pattern. My sister-in-law started it and got a lot of the castle finished and then kind of gave up. Her taste had changed, her time had changed. So I said, well, I'd like to finish that for you if you'd like. I'm still working on it. That was a long time ago. She's not eager to have it back, but I probably will give it back to her whenever I finish it. So I have a little bit of the lady done as well. I have some more of the border done, finished some of this part when I first started working on it. So I'm not sure where I'll go with it this time, but here it's at. And this is on 25 count antique white even weave, I believe, just what's called for, because there is some 1/1 in the faces. So this is where it's at now. There's a tiny bit of leg of the knight's horse because they were the same colors in the lady. So I think when I've worked on this last, I worked on her or this border, which has some specialty stitches in it, which are fun. So maybe I'll work on her. She's fun. So I'll do that before as well, just to share. If for some reason, maybe I'll do all of the panels, because if for some reason I have a prompt that calls for a specific thing, I might stitch in another section of this to fulfill the prompt, not just because it's fun to stitch on that particular section. But if not, then I'll just work on the lady, because I really like how this challenge group has been going. It's a private group, or a closed group, I guess. And so I like how it has been formatted, structured. So it has the weekly prompts. You actually have 2 weeks to work on them, and then you also have a few prompts over the whole month. And so even during Arbitrary August, it has been fun because I'll pick my prompts or pick my projects, and then I can figure out, okay, does this fit anything that is available? Because there's 3 different groups of prompts that I could pick from for my particular project. There might be some projects or some prompts that won't work for my Arbitrary August plans because, for example, one of them is stitch on your widest whip, which I know which one that is, and I know I've already worked on it in 2021, so it's not going to come up during Arbitrary August. So I know going into it, I won't get that one done, and that's okay because I'm not actually super concerned with finishing all of them, but I think it's just fun to have a little bit of motivation to get a little bit more done. And I have noticed that I've gotten more stitching done on my focus pieces by tracking my stitches, because otherwise sometimes I'm more motivated to play on my phone or fritz around a little bit longer. So this way I'm like, oh, okay, I should go stitch now. If it's free time, I'm spending it a little bit more stitching than I had been. So I think that's a good thing. Here's my Nantucket Rose by Lavender and Lace. And I have converted her hair to be red because she reminds me of Anne of Green Gables, or Anne of Avonlea actually. In the movie Anne of Avonlea, in kind of near the beginning of the movie, she's writing her novel on the beach, and that's what this scene reminds me of. So I've converted her to be Anne, and this house I was gonna make it Anne of Green Gables, but then I realized when I was stitching it that I did it wrong. So I think that might be one of the things I do first, is fix that house. So here it is. This is on 32 count gray linen by MCG Textiles. Don't remember what kind of gray, but it's not available anymore anyways, so it doesn't really matter. And I like her hair so much better than the blonde version. I believe I have her up on my conversion blog, which is always linked below. So if you'd like the colors, look there. If not, I can let you know if I haven't quite gotten to it yet. So I'd like to change this out to be a white house with green trim, because that was more what it was. It wasn't a greenhouse with white trim. So I'm gonna fix that and rip some of that out and fix it. But then if I have more time, then I will come over and work on her some more, or maybe some leaves. There's a bunch of trees at the top. So I don't know, I have a lot to do. But she's pretty. But I think that's another reason why this one was a little slower going, because again, with the trying to convert something, it doesn't always go the way you plan, and then it takes longer to get it fixed or to make it right, which is what happened on the anniversary piece too. I'm trying to change it to be a nighttime scene, and so there's been a lot of trial and error. And then I noticed when I was looking at my planner to write down the Arbitrary August picks that this weekend is a special weekend event in Full Coverage Fanatics Facebook group called Less is More. So work on the project you have with the fewest number of colors, which for me is Visit Endor, the one I'm doing for my son that I worked on recently in July, so you've seen this. And I remember now that I was planning to do this as my daily stitching instead of waterfall over the weekend anyways, because of this weekend challenge group, but I also still want to work on my Arbitrary August projects. So I guess it's good that I just put my waterfall aside earlier, because I wasn't going to be able to fulfill the daily stitch challenge anyways. So I will work on my anniversary piece for my daily stitching until that goal is met. And then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I will do maybe one length of thread on this piece, which is 28 count Dove Gray Monaco 2/1 half stitches. And I have some of this green on my needle right now, so that's where I'll start. And then keep going. I'm picking colors from the top to bottom, left to right, so everything above here is finished. And then I'm just working my way down. It goes pretty quickly because it's half stitches. So of these 3 projects, I will look into seeing if any of them fit a prompt and try to get to that stitch goal before I move on. So that's exciting. One last thing is to share Smokey with you again, our little kitten. She is doing really well. She's growing and happy and kind of getting comfortable in our house, finding little places to sleep. I think she followed me in here when I came in, and she might be sleeping under the bed. So I'll go see if I can find her and share her with you one more time. Yep, she was under the bed. So here's Smokey. Come on, look at the camera. All your adoring fans. She's purring. I don't know if you can hear her. You don't seem to like that. I can hear you purring. There we go. Happy kitty. Yeah, she's been doing really well. Getting a little bigger. She has a little bit of stripe on her that we didn't really realize at first, which is kind of interesting. There we go. Yeah. She's a happy kitty. She's been pretty good at letting me stitch. She knows now that I don't appreciate her biting my pattern and my thread, so I'll say no and she'll stop. She'll run off and play and then come back and just sleep next to me, which is great. I don't mind that. Little sleeping kitty is always good. My fan is, I turn my fan off because sometimes it will scare her, so she's keeping an eye on it because it's still slowly spinning. Yeah, there we go. So anyways, all you Smokey fans out there, here she is. Just woken up from her nap again. Yeah. So some of you had been asking, I don't know exactly what she is, but I believe her dad was Siamese and her mom was completely black. All of the other kittens in the litter looked Siamese, but she was gray. And we thought, we want the gray one. Both of us, my husband and I, had been partial to having a gray one this time for some reason. So we were looking for little gray kitties and we found her. She's gonna fall asleep right here in front of you. No, you're not gonna fall asleep for them. Oh, something woke you up? Yeah, she's a precious little kitten. She falls asleep so nicely sometimes. So anyways, I will get back to life and stitching and enjoy what you're working on this week, and happy stitching. Bye.